Morning guys, Real 111T here. I'm going to do a video this morning sort of in response or inspired by a video on another channel, James Yeager's channel, where they took a look at a bag from Walmart, a $50 Be Prepared bag, or Be Ready bag, I guess it's called. Uh, they opened it up and they looked at the contents and basically I concluded it's probably worth $50, but probably not much more than that. Basically, it's got just a variety of things. It claims to be a bag for 3 people for 3 days for $50. It did have some notable shortcomings, and I was inspired to do a video about these bags that I put together back in 2009, which is before I was on YouTube, and they just been sitting down in the basement since then. I originally made 3 of them, but I tore one of them apart as the core for my vehicle kit. So I've basically got 2 left, and the contents are basically identical, okay, in both of these bags. So I'm just going to open one of them up and kind of pull everything out. Before we do that, we'll talk about the bags. Basically, my philosophy when putting this kit together was similar to the Walmart one. I was trying to put together a kit that was a value kit. Try to spend as little money as possible, but get as high a gear as possible. One of the comments that I made on that Walmart video was that, the people who are making the kits are under a good deal of strain to provide a capability and to do it to a certain price point and to do it with a healthy profit margin. So this is really the core problem of what's wrong with commercial kits, aside from the fact that they don't know exactly what you need, whereas when you put your own kit together you can get exactly the items that you need. But the other problem is that there's that profit motive and price point motive, which are 2 separate motives. Basically the idea is, if you put together a kit like this, and put it on the shelf at Walmart, nobody's going to buy it simply because of what it costs. And we'll get into that a little bit more later. The cost is significantly higher for each of these than $50. Okay, but still, cost was a key factor in what went into them, and so a lot of these things are sale items. There's some military surplus items, and just basically smart shopping basically goes into it, and definitely it's not high-end gear, as you'll see. A lot of the stuff is really kind of cheap gear, and some of the stuff I plan to upgrade, and whether that happened or not, we'll see when I get into it. So hold on for a second, and I'm going to reposition the camera so that we're closer, and we'll tear into one. Alright guys, so here we have the bag as it is. The bag was a consideration. My philosophy for this was going to be something that I would grab and go, so it had to be self-contained. It had to be easy to carry. Okay, this is easy enough to throw in the car. It's also easy enough to throw on your back. And these bags were on clearance at Campmore for $21. So I think they're 2,100 cubic inches. Eureka Getaway 2,500. Maybe it's 2,500 cubic inches. That would make sense. But the point is, it's a halfway decent suspension system here on the back. I don't know if you're seeing that with the lighting. It has a waist belt. It's nothing super fancy, but it does have a waist belt, and it does have some well padded straps. And it is it's a top-loading design, which I like because it's simpler, okay, and there are no zippers to fail, okay. Basically, the thing that holds this closed are these Fastex buckles, and it's got some attachment points. Now, this isn't a very tactical bag. That could be considered part of it. It's a sort of bag that might go unnoticed. It might look like, oh, there's just some people in this natural disaster, relocating from their home and they're carrying some camping gear with them. It's designed to not raise a lot of flags, and there's really nothing in here that would raise flags anyway. So we'll get into the inside of it here soon, but you see there for $21, I was able to pick up 3 of them for about $60, which is less than you might spend on one bag, and it's much better. The bag in the Walmart kit is the cheapest bag. Now, is this made in America? No, this is probably made in China, but it's at least a halfway decent bag made in China. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. Starting with the top compartment here. There's the zipper. There we are. This is sort of a tool kit and first aid kit pouch. We got here, this is a fire kit. We got 2 butane lighters, 2 Bic lighters, which are also butane lighters, but these ones are sealed in a bag. Looks like a couple trioxane bars and a candle. Just kind of a basic fire kit in a Ziploc bag. This is sort of a tool kit. We've got a really cheap, I think this is a $5 multi-tool, a space blanket, cheap ferrocerium rod, Silva compass, a basic one, and a mini mag light. So, yeah, that's pretty basic tools. This is a really basic first aid kit. It's really sort of a boo-boo kit. It's basically one of those $10 Johnson & Johnson kits from Walmart. Well, it's been doctored a little bit. You can see there's ace bandage and some tape, aspirin and ibuprofen, triple antibiotic ointment, cough medicine, diarrhea medicine, yeah, and then a lot of the Band-Aids. I think there might be a roll of Kerlix in here. So it's better than the basic kit. It's by no means any kind of trauma kit or anything like that. Alright, so that is what we have in the outer bag. Let's go into the inner bag here. I have a ruck liner here. It doesn't keep it 100% waterproof, but it's probably splash proof. Now, what I have here is a Columbia fleece that says United States Postal Service on it. Now you may say, well, what is this? This is a fairly pricey item. Well, no, because what I did for all 3 kits is I went down to Goodwill, to the thrift store, and I bought 3 sweatshirts. There's this one. In one of the other kits, there's a sweatshirt for a construction company in town. It's a hoodie. I was able to get, and I think they were $2 or $3 each. So I mean, I bought them specifically for these kits. Made sure they fit, and they're better than nothing if I need them. Okay, what we got going on here? This, the philosophy of this kit, it could be that you're heading out into the woods, but it could be that you're heading to a shelter, or heading to a relative's house. So this is a basic toiletry kit. Got some feminine pads in there, which could be used in an emergency by my wife, or they could be used for wound care, something like that. We got a toothbrush, some shampoo and conditioner, and some scope, a little camp towel, and some wipes. This was put together before we had my daughter, so undoubtedly, if we had to leave in a hurry, the diaper bag's always ready to go, and that's got wipes in it as well. But that's just a zip bag that I got at Walmart. The ones they have at Home Depot are probably better. Okay, next item, we got a metal cup. This is just a really cheap cup from Walmart. You know, you could go and get a dedicated bottle cup, but this one you could cook in. It's a decent size. As you see here, this is not a real Nalgene bottle. This is from Emergency Essentials. It's basically the same thing. And then inside of it, I don't know if you can see, there's several packs of the Katahdin water tabs. Duct tape. Toilet paper. Often forgotten, overlooked. Goofy sewing kit. Some cordage, not paracord. The stuff in the other kit was said to be paracord. I tend to question that. But some other assorted nylon cord. Also not paracord, but varying different diameters. Okay, for a knife, this kind of dates this if anyone knows anything about Mora. Here we have a Mora clipper, basically. This model's been discontinued, but the companion's taken its place. This is an excellent, you know, $10 or $15 knife. It's also very light. Good quality. I don't know necessarily if this is something you need at your friend's house or in a shelter, but if you were out in the woods, it'd be a good idea to have a fixed blade knife. And not an expensive one, you know. Once again, for outdoor use, it's a little camp saw. Discontinued. There's a Bear Grylls version, though, if you really want it. Okay, oh, there's one work glove. There's two work gloves. Nothing super fancy or special. We got an emergency sleeping bag. This is from Emergency Essentials. You know, and basically, you know, this kit was not put together instantly. It wasn't something that I went out and I bought everything at once. Okay, but I had several online vendors, Campmore, Emergency Essentials, Swartzman's Guide, that I ordered a lot of things from, and there were a lot of cash and carry orders. And what I tried to do is, in advance of ordering anything, I looked at each site, I compared prices for different items if they're duplicated on different sites, and I put together basically a shopping list for each one, and then one at a time I would do the orders as I had the money. Okay, but it was working towards a plan. It wasn't just like randomly like, oh, I should order that for my bags. And you know, everything was ordered in triplicate. Some of the things came in triplicate, were in 3-packs. You know, so you want to take advantage of that, and you want to have a plan. Okay, this is probably something that's going to have to get rotated out fairly soon. As I said, this is put together in 2009. Similar, this is a food pack, similar to what was in that other kit. This is definitely more a more robust kind of option. You got your lifeboat rations here, which is what basically the other one had, was lifeboat rations. Got just some rock candy in here for morale purposes and snack food purposes. Some beef jerky, which is probably very dry by now, and a couple of the Mountain House Pro Pack. These meals are vacuum sealed, so they take up less space. And I see like some tea that I have in a Ziploc bag, and some cocoa mix, it looks like. And these are fruit leathers. So, I mean, that would be a decent amount for one person for 3 days. But you could probably stretch it to 2 people. But as I said, I have 2 of these kits, and the contents of this are identical. So there's that. Now you say, well, how do you cook the Mountain House meals? And I actually do have one of these Leadmark alcohol cook sets. This is basically like a Trangia kit. It's got 2 pots, a frying pan, and a cook stove in here, as well as some soapy sponge and a spork inside this. And for a kit of this scope, one might question, well, why do you need a cook kit? And you probably really don't, especially if you're out in the woods. You can make a fire and you got the cup and you can boil water, and you could probably boil enough water in that cup to make one of those Mountain House meals. But this allows you to boil a lot more water more quickly. It allows you to burn it indoors if you were in a grid down situation, you didn't have enough electricity or fuel, it was cut off and you couldn't cook at home. You could use this indoors, which is something you can't really do with a campfire. And it's possible, depending on what sort of shelter. And I wouldn't necessarily say you'd be bringing this in a shelter where you're going, a government shelter, but I would want to avoid that anyway. But this could also be used indoors, and it'll give you capacity to cook this food, but it'll also give you capacity to disinfect water. Okay, for fuel for that, stored outside of the waterproof container, I've got 24 ounces of HEAT gas line deicer, which would allow me to boil several gallons of water. So you got the micro tabs. You've got this to procure water. You've got the 1 quart water bottle, and also somewhere down here. Huh. That's interesting. There's supposed to be a water bladder in here, and either I took it out. Oh wait, yep, here it is. This is a Hydrostorm water bladder. It's getting a little bit yellow. It's never been used. This is I think 100 ounce. So you're carrying about a gallon of water once all is told, but this pack has a hydration bladder pocket. So you got that. And then the last item is one of these Swiss Alpenflosch ponchos, which is a really rugged milsurp item. And Sportsman's Guide was selling these for years, 5 for $15, which, $3. The cheap Chinese poncho that came in the Walmart kit, it was one of the nicer ponchos. It wasn't one of the totally disposable ones. I bet you could pay $3 for that if you bought it individually. This is not an American poncho. This is not a nylon material. It's vinyl, but it's bomber for $3. There's no way you're going to find a better poncho. And that gets us to the point of mill surplus. Mill surplus stuff is usually a great value because what they charge for it, what the companies that you buy it from charge for it, has nothing to do with what it's worth. It has to do with what they paid for it. And a lot of times this stuff is like a fire sale. The government is trying to clear out warehouse space, and it might be American government, it might be European government. The stuff is not necessarily junk, and a lot of the stuff will say, oh, used, or might show signs of wear from warehouse, sitting in warehouses, and usually it's a great deal. And so my advice is, if you see anything that you think might be a good addition to your kit that's surplus, is to buy it up, because these Alpenflosch ponchos, they are starting to dry up. You can still find them, but they're more expensive now. You might pay $10 for that now, whereas it used to be $3. So that's something to be aware of. The advice with mill surplus is go for it if you see it. The only other thing I haven't covered, I think, I just noticed this sitting there. There's a hat. I think the gloves were sitting inside the hat. It's nothing special, just like a insulated winter cap, which anyone who's ever camped out in cold weather knows You have to have a hat. There's just no way around it. Um, Now, is this really a Cadillac option? It's really not. Um, I'd really hate to go out in conditions now out into the woods and try and make this work. With that little Mylar sleeping bag and that hat is basically your winter gear. I mean, it qualifies as better than nothing, um, but it's really not that great. Okay, I think the only thing I'd be able to do is try and make a fire, and with the tools that are in here, it would be tough. I mean, that little saw trying to cut firewood, you know. So, but this would be a grab and go kit. And like I said, going out in the woods is only one of the things it could be used for. Okay, and with that, I think the total. I didn't get an exact total on these, but it was about $300 all told for all this stuff. Okay, which you might argue, well, you could have done it for less than that, or you could have gotten better stuff, but or you could have made some different choices. I know there's people who criticize that camp stove, but it's just everyone's sort of decision. And I've got two of these now. I had three of them, and basically at this point, um, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm going to put it back together and put it back there and in the basement, and maybe think about rotating the food. But yeah, this is what I put together. So your mileage may vary. Thanks for watching. Okay, guys, one more thing. Back in the day when I put this post up on Zombie Squad, one of the first questions I got was weight. So I weighed it back then. It was 20 pounds. And then if you add in the gallon of water, that's about another 8 pounds. So about 28 pounds, 20 pounds dry weight. Now, I don't put water in my kits simply for storage reasons. If you're going to throw this in the trunk of a car and leave it, you in the winter and the summer, you wouldn't want the water just to be sitting there. And I personally don't like to rotate the water. Okay, so at least out of a kit, I've got 5-gallon jugs, 7-gallon jugs, stored right near this. And if I had to go, I'd like to think I had about 5 minutes to fill the water containers. Okay, this is a big failing of the Walmart kit. Is for 3 people for 3 days. They had, 3 little, I think 10-ounce water bottles. Okay, so basically this kit is better in that regard. Granted, they had purifier tabs in that kit. So I'm going to put a link in the description to the original Zombie Squad post if you want to see some photographs of it. And once again, thanks for watching.